It is a Cam and Brew adventure. Rick Kamla, the legendary Aaron Bruski. We are the Fantasy NBA today, brought to you by FanDuel here on the Sports Ethos Fantasy Basketball Network. Brew, what's up, man? There's so much big stuff going on. We got news. We got a killer show for the people. The B150 dropped this week. My pop players went live yesterday. This is exciting stuff, dude.
Yeah, I love this time of year. I barely know my name. I barely know what day it is. I don't care. It's great. It's literally, it's a day after a day after a day of just getting deep into it. It's great. I can't say enough about it. So I'm excited. I know we got a lot to cover. I know there's a lot of stuff going on at the website. So I don't know where you want to start, but I'm thrilled to just talk hoops.
Indeed. I just want to tell everybody that the NBA draft guide is available right now at sportsethos.com. Go over there, get a subscription, whatever works out for you money-wise. Also, word of the wise, if you're watching this live on Twitter or X, just a little heads up, not every offseason episode is going to be available on this platform. Make sure you subscribe to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed and the Sports Ethos YouTube channel, and then you'll get every episode and stay in the loop. So here's the rundown here today. We're going to run through as a bit of like a teaser and a promo, but there's going to be really good value and content in here. The players that just missed my Pop Players article, okay? Again, via subscription, you can check that out at sportsethos.com. And Bruce, so we're going to get into that. We've got some news here, but I want to talk about the B150. It has 60 players that are clear wins against the market. This is the scuttlebutt that I'm hearing. Is this true?
Yeah, sorry for the allergies or whatever the hell that is. Yeah, no, that's true. And usually every year it's about 45, I would say at minimum, but it's getting bigger. I don't know what that, I don't know why. I don't understand it, but I'll take it. And so, I mean, every single year we kind of get to call our draft. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. This sets up wonderfully. I don't know. I wish I had a better read on what the reason was. It feels like maybe the amplification of so many voices these days is probably, zigzagging the market a little bit. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what's going on with kind of the bigger sites out there, but yeah, I'll take it. It's good.
I have an idea on that because I'm, a lot of like historically like solid guys, they're really maintaining an ADP that I think is god awful. Zion at 41, Embiid at 47, Paul George at 77. I think Lauri Markkanen's at 58. Like these guys are all torpedoes to your submarine. They are going to kill your season. I'm not into any of them. And these ADPs, there's still guys that I either like or love around them, right? And so that's just to name a few. LaMelo Ball and Ja Morant at like 32 and 33. I mean, who is taking them with a logical, sane mind in the third round? Okay, it's literally fantasy suicide. So that because as you were talking, I'm like trying to theorize, and I think that's the best I got, Brew, right? I mean, because you're talking about beating ADP, you're talking about value, and it could be partially because a lot of these guys that are going to die on us during the season are up there and kind of ruining the top of drafts.
Yeah, there's usually about 10 or 20 of those every single season. The kicker is there's this season, I want to say there's 20, 30, maybe in that ballpark, players that aren't even just showing up on ranks, not even showing up in like the top 300 of ranks. And yet there they are, just sitting there in the B150, all perched up, ready to be acquired. It's good. It's good. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm thrilled. Every time this happens, I'm thrilled. It's like handing out Christmas gifts. So check into it. It's at the website. Ethos 360 subscribers have it now. All sports subscribers, where you get every single sport at Sports Ethos, they're going to get it here on the 7th. I know things. And today is Friday. I know it's Friday.
The hilarious Aaron Bruski with your boy Cam here on the Fantasy NBA Today. So Brew, you mentioned, Christmas and opening presents and that kind of thing. We got our first box score. Okay. It came to us at noon on Thursday from Abu Dhabi, and the Knicks beat the Sixers 99-84. All right. We already have a pretty decent sized storyline here, Brew. Josh Hart came off the bench. Okay. Mitchell Robinson rocked and rolled. He's going to be shooting up draft boards now because it was speculation and it might boom, it happened. Game one, we saw the box score. We saw him starting. He kicked ass. 7 points, 16 rebounds in 18 minutes. Also had a block and a steal. And Josh Hart played 7 minutes. He was going for a loose ball. It was non-contact. There was no push or not even really a sidecar. His body just kind of gave out on him, and he fell to the floor. And then a Sixer came over to try to get the ball, and he was kind of pissed and like threw the ball into the stands and got ejected from the game. And so he had the surgery on the finger, which I read that he kind of disrupted. Now the back, he's coming off the bench. Like I just felt all that from Josh Hart when he winged the ball up into the stands, and then got thrown out. But Brew, I'll look. I don't know if we've been on the air and talked about this, but I love Josh Hart in reality and typically, but this year he's dead to me. Okay, he already was the whole offseason. I'm like, he's one of the biggest fades on the board for me. There's no way he's duplicating last year's numbers. And so now we get this. And he's got an ADP, Brew, a 4th round ADP. Josh Hart does. Okay. So talk to me about this development.
This is one of the most fascinating things in fantasy right now is the New York Knicks, because you got Mike Brown, who, coaches in Sacramento. So unless you're crazy like me or live in Sacramento, you might not have seen a lot of the Mike Brown stuff in Sacramento. And he really pushed a program of pace, but not even so much pace as much as he just wants to drive and kick constantly. And what that does is it changes the entire offense in New York. And Jalen Brunson has had run of the yard really at a degree that very few players in the league have. So I was wondering, would Brown win out or would Brunson win out? It seems to be a Jalen Brunson team, and Brown comes in day one, says, no, we're running, and we're going to push the pace, and we're going to try to drive and kick, and it's going to be a more egalitarian offense. And so this flows out to OG Anunoby. This flows out to Mikal Bridges. This flows out to Cat. This flows away from Jalen Brunson. And then Josh Hart, to circle around and get to your point here is Josh Hart. I mean, on one hand, he's a drive and kick kind of a guy. Like he's got the strength to get into the lane. He's got the toughness that you want on the fast break. That's his specialty. I don't see why they would go away from that. But this whole thing seems to be shifting in New York. In addition to that, the minutes. There's an entire separate storyline in New York about getting off this high minute juice that they've been on. And you got players that have been wanting to get off of it. And this entire swing of the pendulum away from Tom Thibodeau to a new kind of more modern NBA approach of less minutes, more passing, more up-tempo stuff. And it's going to do things to the numbers that, I've been kind of just sitting there waiting to get enough confirmation to say, yeah, this is a thing. And I'm pretty sure it's a thing. So in my next B150 update, you'll see some changes there with New York and just how this all gets, laid out for this season. So, but Hart, there might be a silver lining here. There might be so much of a plummet for him in fantasy drafts. I think he's going to drop like a rock. I mean, once this starting stuff gets sorted out, say they bring him off the bench, say it's projected he's going to play 28 minutes a game. Let's say all the storylines go the other direction. I think in competitive situations, we're not talking like public leagues where people aren't really reading stuff. They'll go off old ADP, right? I'm talking like the more people are dialed in and the more they're listening to this chorus of people like ourselves saying, hey, Josh Hart's not an early rounder. He's not maybe a mid rounder. Let's say Josh Hart drops into the late rounds. Then I think you might have something, because he is, again, a guy that on the fast break, that's where you're going to get a lot of yardage, getting up the court, drive and kick the 3-point shooters. And you might see Josh Hart in a more condensed 28, 30-minute role where the value is still kind of there, but it's not going to be like last year. It's not going to be like the last couple years. It's going to be late round, probably at best, mid round upside if it all goes well.
I've got him at 11 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 3. Way down from last year. And 11, 8, 4, 1 and 1 does nothing for me. To me, that's just north of the waiver wire. And so, yeah, and in terms of Mitchell Robinson here, Brew, again, it was talk, it was speculation. Now it happened. He went off, and he's got to shoot up draft boards now. He certainly is. The next time I update my rankings, Mitchell Robinson will go from, the afterthought group of centers, right, to, like that end of draft kind of zone. And again, add another guy to the list. add Horford to the list, right? With the Okongwus and the Claxtons and the Aitons and the Klingons and all these guys that you're going to be able to get. Pirtle, you're going to get them super, super late in your draft. And you're going to love your forwards and guards. You're going to freaking love them. And you're going to have these like value bargain kind of low-key kick-ass centers, man. And Mitchell Robinson, again, he went from undraftable to draftable just like that with one Abu Dhabi game.
If he can hold up, that's the big thing with him. And then physically, can he do this at scale? You know, it's one thing to come in and play 15 minutes a game and do what he's doing. But if he's in there for 25 minutes a game, what does this look like? And then the interesting thing going in the NBA, it's all, you know, like it's swinging pendulum. You've got teams now that are trying to attack the glass as a strategy, and they're sending in rebounders in waves, and they're trying to play the possession game and pump up those possession numbers. And I saw Mike Brown kind of fiddle with that in Sacramento as like a designated rebounder who was just kind of constantly crashing at the expense of certain things, and even in a way to try to stop the fast break. I think that's Mitchell Robinson for him this season. And so if he believes in him for 25 minutes per game, you're going to see these kinds of big, gaudy big man numbers, and that will obviously have a tremendous amount of fantasy value. It's just when's it going to end? I mean, this is a guy who cannot stay on the floor, has not stayed on the floor, probably will not stay on the floor. But in a late round kind of a situation, I mean, like you said, the big man value where what you're talking about here is a strategy to go get your guards and forwards and possibly rely on the big men late, depending on how the draft shakes out. That's going to be great. It's going to be great. And especially if you've got the draft tracker cooking, the one that you can get with the membership at Sports Ethos, that you're going to be able to track all of that in real time and make sure that if that's open to you, that you do a real good job with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like a cluster of Gobert, Claxton, and Klingon late. And I'm talking round 7, 10, 11, 9, in that range. But again, my guards and forwards are completely just cooking. Everybody's looking at my team like, damn, bro. And they may have Bam or Sabonis or Cat or one of these guys. Nah, I'm going the other way. All right, Brew. Let's. I just want to put this out here. The young fella, the former first-round pick to the Knicks, Dadier, started for Anunoby. OG has a hand injury. He's considered day-to-day, dealing with a sprained left hand. And it doesn't sound like a huge deal, but it was interesting. Dadier never played under Tibbs. Game 1 under Mike Brown, albeit due to injury. He's in the starting lineup. And he had 2 opportunities to start Josh Hart in this game, okay, for Anunoby and versus Mitchell Robinson. And Hart clearly is a bench player as Mike Brown perceives it. Now, on the Phillies side, Brew, no Joel Embiid, no Paul George, and no surprises. The only, like, Maxey played, he was okay, right? He did Maxey things. No story there. Adembona, okay, we got to track him in these non-Embiid games. He sucked. He had 4 points, 2 boards, 1 block, 4 fouls in 14 minutes. I'm not mad at him, just saying. And BJ Edgecombe was decent but didn't shoot well. 14, 6, and 3. No defensive goodies and shot 4 of 13. Did anything else strike you from the Philly side?
No, not really. These games are, especially these very far overseas games, they don't have a lot of, they don't got a lot of anything for me. I think the travel is, obviously going to take teams out of their normal rhythms. I think this is kind of showpiece games. I think with with Philly, the big thing is trying to just game out. Are they going to be competitive or not? If the minute they're not competitive, the back end of their roster becomes more interesting. The longer they're competitive, the front end of the roster becomes more interesting. So Quentin Grimes, I think, is a big storyline there. For Quentin, I saw a guy that at prior stops, pardon me, had really shown athleticism and a quickness and a speed package that, kind of goes counter to a lot of what you hear about his season last year. There was a lot of silly season and against real competition, he wouldn't do what he was doing. And when I was watching those games, I was seeing a guy that was really hard to cover. So how he fits in, and especially now that he took the QO, and what does that mean for his future? I kind of doubt it. His future is in Philly. It could very well be in Philly, but what does that mean for how much the team wants to rely on him during what I call it, the first season for the Philadelphia 76ers, or the second season when things start falling apart for them. And then within all of that, they don't really have a lot of incentive to just all out tank. They've got draft future picks, kind of working against them. They could lose one this year or next year. And then the odds for getting out of that situation are less than 50% each year. So I think for them, they're just going to kind of go roll with it. And it's going to be a tale of two seasons for them. So I'm trying to figure out which season I want to plug into.
I'm probably not going to really plug at all. And then silly season, try to get guys off waivers. But clearly, Embiid's dead to me. Paul George is dead to me. I'm fading Maxey. I probably have Maxey ranked lower than any other fantasy basketball expert on planet Earth, which just is a sign that I'm not taking him. And I love Maxey. I wish I could green light him, but because I fear a tank and another shutdown, I cannot. He's kind of in Lowry Markkanenville right now. Actually, it's a bad example because I don't even like Lowry's stat set. I love Maxey's stat set. I just don't think he's going to be helping us win championships in March and April. All right, big news here, Brew, on the Fantasy NBA Today, brought to you by FanDuel. Rick Kamla, the legendary Aaron Bruski. Bucks head coach Doc Rivers said Tuesday that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to start at point guard. This is gigantic. Cole Anthony was limited during the first session as well, so that's going on. Obviously, Ryan Rollins lingers. This is what we wanted to see. Now he's got to play with consistency. He's got to win trust from Doc to stay there, but the train's going to leave the station with KPJ in the starting lineup, and he now, I believe, is going to shoot up draft boards. How are you feeling about this?
I kind of saw this one a while ago. This is the only guy, short of Giannis and a couple others, that can break the paint for this team. This is possibly Kevin Porter's team. I'm kidding. But literally, pardon me, as I clear it out here this morning, this is just a weird situation in Milwaukee. Like, Giannis is going to kind of hang over as a cloud all season long, and possibly, I don't know, shut it down, ask for a trade. Who knows how this is going to go? It feels a little bit weird that, I'm even saying that because he's such a Milwaukee guy and he kind of wants to stay and he doesn't want to do the join other superstars thing, I don't think. But the reality is that Milwaukee can't win with him going forward. I think he probably knows that. I think he's probably right now trying to recruit a bunch of people to Milwaukee. And every time they find a combination that might work, then they just look at the cap sheet and they go, that ain't going to work. And everybody says, no, we're not going to do that. And then he's probably going to figure that out halfway through the season. And then it's going to be like, oh, my knee hurts. So what happens to Milwaukee during all of that? And with Giannis on the court, Kevin Porter Jr. is literally probably one of three players on the team that can break the paint. So it makes sense why Doc said that. And he's just going to have a really good season. He's got stat set issues that are going to hold him back. So, as long as you can play with that, equation and it works for you and his ADP doesn't go too high, I think you got yourself a good one.
Yeah, you know me, I don't care about percentages. I just want the PRA. I want the fantasy gold, and he's good in those areas. Brew, this is, in my opinion, another ranking adjusting piece of news. It's Mark Williams, the oft-injured center for the Phoenix Suns, lower body. He's been limited during training camp, will not play Friday against the LA Lakers. Okay, here's the daunting part of this. Williams has not participated in any 5-on-5 action during the offseason or the early stages of training camp. Jordan Ott, their new coach in Phoenix, said, we're trying to assess exactly where he is. Not good. The goal is there at the end of camp. Get him as ready as he can. Please use normal sentences, Coach Ott. That'd be great. He says he's on a good path. Like I said, every drill work you've seen him in, just not the live 5-on-5. Okay. This cat has not gone live in 5-on-5 in 4 months. I'm real concerned, and I'm now running. I don't want anything to do with this. This is a big-time ranking adjustment moment. I will have him now He's going to plummet. He may lose like 10 center spots, dude. I'm telling you, I'm out. The guy's already got a red flag by him constantly. He hasn't gone live the whole offseason, dude.
Yeah, I think they know where he's at.
Wow.
I've been watching Jordan Ott talk because I can't get over. He looks like he's like running point in Vietnam. He's got a cigarette hanging out his ear. He's like, you don't know what I've seen, man. And like, I'm just like, I can't get. That's like he's talking about every player on the team. I'm like, I'll watch that one. I'll watch that one. I'll watch that one. With Mark, he's at least it seems very intentional. It seems very intentional with what they're doing. It really does. Like, I think what it is like they know his medical is bad. Everybody knows his medical is bad. And they're kind of doing a Joel Embiid where it's like, we're not going to put a single bit of mileage on you until the last possible second. And it might even take a little bit into the season. Everybody around him, this team seems to have some connections with him as well, kind of like, interplayer connections. So he's like kind of a part of them and what they're doing there. You can tell if somebody's on the inside or the outside. So I think that part's good. And then it just is pure risk. Like the point you're making is that, come on, if he hasn't played 5-on-5, like, what are we doing here? This is like, it's basketball. You have to play basketball in order to play basketball, and you're not playing basketball. What are we doing here drafting him? But I think it's a calculated risk. And then what you're doing drafting is taking a calculated risk on somebody who could have mid-round value. And you're just hoping the Suns are playing this the right way. And I think the strategy is quite just don't let him on the court until you have to, and to see, can we milk, 60 games out of this guy and get something up? Because honestly, if Mark Williams doesn't work for Phoenix, they have like no other cards to play in terms of future recruitment of players to come play with Devin Booker. And if you're going to not go Devin Booker for the rest of his career, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you have to consider trading him, even if it's for very low value, because you're going to pay this guy a lot over the rest of the time. And if it's not going to work, you got to do a different angle. So Mark Williams being good and there being a pivot point in his career where he can actually play 60 plus games in a season consistently, that's like one of 2 or 3 different things that they can have happen that would be good for them. Otherwise, it's just trash for the next 5 to 10 years. And you do at that point need to consider trading Devin Booker, even if it's for a ham sandwich, because you're not going to get much more. He's making $75 million a year, whatever the number is. That's, it's not like teams are lining up to get that.
Hey, Brew, I want to play a little game here. Can you pull up my Twitter real quick?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. I can do things
like on your. I want you to see a side by side of Anthony Davis. Okay. We got to talk about Anthony Davis here.
Oh, is this one of those AI dealies or is this real?
No. I mean, no. I think it's a picture from training camp with the Mavs this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. Actually, I remember seeing this and I was laughing because I think you called him Chubby. Did you call him Doughy? Oh, Doughy Davis. That's right. It's not Doughy Doncic anymore. It's Doughy Davis. But you know what? He talked about it. He said, I get it. I'm fat. I'm fat every year. I can't see if you're on screen or not. Oh, there you are. Yeah. What do you want me to talk about? His
okay. Like, to me, he had the eye surgery, right? And he did not take part in any 5-on-5 throughout the offseason. None. Just like Mark Williams. And I told Doc, I'm like, I was already out on Anthony Davis for motivational issues, lack thereof. And I need him to be motivated. He's a boot in your ass player, right? And there's no boot in his ass anymore. That boot was coming from LeBron James' right foot, by the way. So I was already telling Doc, okay, he hasn't gone live the whole offseason. He's completely beyond dead to me. I'm screaming for people not to draft him 7th overall, which is his ADP right now. Please, for the love of God, do not do this. Do not ruin your season by taking Anthony Davis, who's going to implode on you. Brew, and then you see these pictures, right? And this is exactly what I thought he was going to look like. He's a good 15, 20 pounds overweight, man. And you can see it. His upper body's thicker. And a big dude heading into age 33, carrying more weight is a doomsday scenario. It never, ever works out. So the guy is doughy as hell. I highly doubt that the asshats that run the Mavericks are going to hold him as accountable as they held Luka. Hello. And so, like, I'm just screaming for people not to draft Anthony Davis. And you can tell, look at his like chin and neck. You can just tell he's carrying a lot of extra weight right now. And Brew, is there any scenario where you would draft Anthony Davis with the 7th overall pick in a draft?
If somebody can get the calipers out and measure his neck fat, and it comes back good. Look, I'll say this: like I baked that into the cake of my analysis. Like I think everything you said is true. I thought Anthony Davis's explanation was pretty good in terms of like, I do this every year and he used specifics. Now, maybe this is all BS and maybe he just kind of rattled off some specifics about how every year he wants to come in heavy because he's going to lose the weight, yada, yada, yada. I actually don't buy that part because he's been overweight at several times in the last, say, 3 to 4 years. So, yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. And the fact that his motivation's been an issue in the past and his kind of mental toughness has been an issue in the past and his offensive shot selection's been an issue in the past. Can he be a number one on a team with this much pressure that's going to possibly compete? And it's a weird team, this Dallas team. You got 3 bigs, and yeah, Daniel Gafford might have, knocked himself out there for a little bit with his 2 to 3 week injury. But they got a lot of bigs that they have to play. So they're going to be, not that nimble out there. And you got to have Cooper Flagg, who's this magically, lands from the sky asset that can actually connect what's going on in the front court with a back court that's bigger. You've got D'Angelo Russell, who doesn't have his fastball anymore. You've got Klay Thompson, who needs to retire or go play for the Warriors next season with LeBron. And then you've got like Max Christie and Dante Exum. It's just, they're going to have a unique value proposition in being big. And I think that'll actually work out for them. But without Cooper Flagg, it doesn't work at all. Can Anthony Davis be a number one within all of that? That's the thing I can't figure out. I don't want to summarily rule it out, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then what happens when the pressure and the talk and, the fire Nico stuff and the AD becomes the butt of those jokes? I think it could tumble pretty bad for him. So yeah, no, he's ranked relatively high in the B150. But it could very much be the case that he drops more. And so I'll be watching that real closely.
Interesting, folks. Brew mentioned Daniel Gafford. He will miss the remainder of Mavericks training camp. Injured his ankle on the first practice of training camp on Tuesday. Are we back to the curse? Are we back to the curse of Luka here? I mean, are you serious? Lively's already out. Davis is fat. Brandon Williams just picked up an injury. He's out like at least a week or something like that. The lightning bolts continue to hit the Mavericks. Stay away from Cooper Flagg. All right, we got some news here on Houston, Brew. Dorian Finney-Smith had ankle surgery in early June. He's expected to miss the beginning of the regular season. And he signed. I hated this contract when he signed it. The Rockets gave Dorian Finney, and I like the guy, I do, but 4 years and $53 million for Dorian Finney-Smith. What are you doing? Like, it's just dumb money. He does not bring that value to the wood right now. Anyway, so he's not going to be available when the regular season opens. There's also from Ime Udoka, Tari Eason and Steven Adams are not going to play back-to-backs early in the season. And Tari Eason hasn't been able to play back-to-backs for 2 years now. So I don't really anticipate a scenario at all this season where he'll play back-to-backs. If he does, it's gravy. I love him as a player, but for that reason, he's dead to me in fantasy. So any takeaways from these injury reports on the Rockets?
They went from being very deep to needing players like Tari Eason to play more than Tari Eason is capable of playing. And I think that's why they come out real early and say, hey, we're not doing the back-to-backs with him, and take that pressure off of him right away. Eason has been a player that folks have always wanted more out of, whether it's fantasy or reality. He gets on the court, he'll take your best ball handler, strip it, and go pick six like once or twice a game. So that's a little bit of bad news for the Rockets, but really it's just all hands on deck every single player with a Rockets jersey is going to be asked to do everything that they can to make this team, kind of meet expectations. And Fred VanVleet was not, I don't know, a top 50, 75 player in the league, just to kind of keep it simple here. But yet his absence is really threatening to topple this squad before the season's even started. That's a terrible, crushing blow for Houston. But, from a fantasy perspective, maybe we do see a little something out of Jabari Smith this season. That's, he was as probably not dead to me because I feel like there's a negative connotation with that, but like such a boring, no upside fantasy play. And for a guy that has theoretically, kind of like Walmart, Evan Mobley, if you will, could he get loose? There's actually a need for him to produce this season for Houston. So at least there's that.
I think Raphael Stone's done an amazing job. I'm a fan of his GMing. The Cam Whitmore trade is so mystifying to me, especially knowing, and Raphael knew this, he knew that DFS had surgery in June. Okay. He knew that. Yeah. And so
he was struggling before. He's been bad for a while.
He has.
I didn't touch on that. That was a bad move.
So why give? They literally gave Cam Whitmore to the Washington Wizards. Here you go. Just gave him to. I think a second-round pick or 2 second-round picks. They literally just gave Cam Whitmore.
I think Washington. His unhappiness with his role probably created one of those situations that they all screwed up. Where everybody, if they could have just sort of kept that mental piece together. But again, this is the problem you have with having an unbalanced roster. You have too many players. You have too many players in one role. You have to really think, like, if we're going to slam this roster full of talent, what's going to be the downside? Well, Cam Whitmore doesn't get enough shots. He's pissed off. Now he kind of, he irritates and annoys everybody in the locker room. Now you get rid of him for, virtual garbage. And then you need Cam Whitmore right now. You need him bad to fill the roles of the players who can't stay on the floor, who, may or may not be good enough to handle what you signed them for.
But the bottom line is Ime Udoka, not a fan. Ime Udoka, I mean, obviously it's a collab with him and Raphael Stone, but Ime's got a huge voice down there. Mm-hmm. He's one of the G's of coaching in the NBA right now. So that reeks of Ime Udoka, who doesn't play. Also, the fact that Jalen Green, I mean, you got to give to get. They got Durant, but the fact that Jalen Green, this young hotshot, was already moved, again, not really an Ime Udoka guy. And so they're bringing in Ime Udoka guys. All right, one last note here, and then we will get into the players that just missed my Pop Players article, and I'll give you a little teaser for that article that we want you to check out at sportsethos.com. Nikola Jovic, this is a flabbergasting contract. And maybe Andre's got some news about team options on the back end to water it down a little bit. Maybe it's NFL funny money, right? Where they didn't actually get the reported thing and whatever. The NFL money is weird. But Nikola Jovic and the Miami Heat agreed to a 4-year, $62.5 million contract extension. This is call it $16 million a year for Nikola Jovic, okay, who has played 107 of a possible 246 games. He has had many pops, okay? I like the player. I do. I really like him at $8 million, okay, which is kind of like the going rate for an average backup. I look at him as an average backup. The Heat, obviously, 27th overall pick a couple of years back. They're just investing in this guy, I think, wildly and blindly. I do not think that they're going to get $16 million a year of bang for the buck from Nikola Jovic. This doesn't move my needle in fantasy outside of they're going to give him minutes now, right? I don't know where, backup 5, backup 4. I don't really, and as long as they're healthy, which they're not with Hero right now, but once they're healthy, I don't really see a ton of minutes for this guy. So I just think this is a wildly stupid contract by Pat Riley, who I typically respect, but this is a mistake to me.
I think the bigger mistake was Bam Adebayo, like wrapping the franchise around Bam. And whatever happened with Jimmy is whatever happened with Jimmy. Sometimes, somebody's got to go, for the sake of the egos in the room and kind of the sanctity of the franchise. And that's what happened there. So, okay, you're stuck with Bam for a while because nobody's going to take Bam and, the money's big. And Khalil Ware, it's interesting. Spo kind of went out on the offensive about his work ethic. I thought that was just planting little seeds there. Like, hey, it's not going to be your year this year, but we'll make you earn it, and then you'll come out firing, next year. And then with Jovic, maybe this is a play to say, look, we need somebody who can bridge the gap between all these three players. What he does is more versatile than what the other two do, which is interesting to say about a Bam Adebayo because that's supposed to be his calling card. But he's a little too heavy. He can't guard laterally as well as people would like to attribute to him. The shooting has not developed. And in terms of him running down and running dribble handoff all the time, I think it's not as effective as how much it's being used. So I think they're in a real pickle here. So with Jovic, he could take you outside. He's had some good high leverage minutes in playoff situations in the past. He's looked like a decent prospect. He's not going to win your games. He's not going to, be a dominant force or anything like that, but he's just going to bridge that gap and be somebody that can play out of the four. And you can kind of mix and match these three different styles of big men. So it's just I think it's a continuity play to make sure that their front court has enough different pieces to keep it going through the next 2 to 3 years while they try to do the thing where they get into the 8th seed and somehow punch their way up into the second round of the playoffs. And I think for them, they're happy with that, and then once Bam comes off the books, they can try to, make the Miami play with the next big free agent.
Good for Nikola Jovic, man. That's a lot of money. All right. So yesterday at sportsethos.com, my pop players article went live. We want you guys to go check that out. You need a subscription to read it, and we very cordially invite you to check that out. Sportsethos.com. Fire up a subscription. It's going to help you out a lot. Obviously, it helps us out. We're a business here, but it's going to help you out a lot. You get the greatness of Aaron Bruski, the greatness of Hall of Famer Steve Alexander. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Mark Camaro and Mike Passador, and it's the best team in fantasy basketball, and that's not debatable. That's not a subjective statement. So go check it out. But so Luka is kind of the headliner of this article, right? And so I've got 3 segments in this pop players article, which we started last year. We've got pop stars, which are big-time players like Luka, who I expect to have a big-time, significant, whatever word you want to use, spike in stats. Not a little spike in stats, a big spike in stats. And I see Luka going from 28, 8, and 8 last year. In Brew, I've got him conservatively projected for 32, 9, and 9. And he went 34, 9, and 10 that one year in Dallas, like 2 or 3 years ago. I could see him doing that. But I'm being a little bit conservative here. But 28, 8, and 8 ain't Luka. Okay, more like 32, 9, and 9, 32, 9, and 10, something like that. Okay, that is a significant bump from a star. And I'm not going to tell you the other guys, but there's, I think, 4 or 5 other like star level players who I see popping this year. Then we have the about to pop stars. And these are the exciting players, right? These are the guys we talk about a lot. These are, they're going to go from like solid to big shot players this year. This is going to be the mega pop. Okay. We may have a most improved player award from this group, right? So those are the about to pop stars, and then deep fried poppers, which are ADP like 80 plus. So they're kind of mid to like late mid to then late round type of guys. You're going to get late in your draft. And they're going to pop for you, okay? And they're going to be real difference makers. You get this guy in round 10, he's giving you round 7 value, that kind of thing. And I've got 18 of those guys, Bruce. So I'm psyched about it. We've got these labors of love that we do, right? And I'm excited it's out there for the people to check out, get smarter about. We had an idea, me and Doc. People need to get the B150, which is actually the B239, and they need to print and they need to print that out. And then they need to grab a highlighter and go to Doc's My Guys and just highlight, and then go to My Pop Players and highlight. And it's like a cross-reference thing. And they'll already have your vibes, because guys will be up and down because it's the B150. It's Aaron Bruski's brain in black and white. So you can't lose your draft if you do that.
Yeah, no, that's a strategy I have seen used out there. That's Doc getting his revenge. That joke's from Doc. He had to read those 10,000 word columns over at Roto World and tell me no more. I'd tell him more. It was a great fight. Yeah, you should do that. That's a great way to win your league, is to highlight the 3 that match.
Do you know who Paul Charchian is?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Charch brought me into the business, dude.
Oh, that makes sense.
Charch gave me my first big break. He took me from the corporate world to sports media on a part-time basis, but you got to start somewhere, and obviously it grew and grew and grew. But without him reaching out his hand, I don't know. But but it is. Oh, by the way, I won't go into the story, but what was I going to say?
Doc was that guy for me.
Oh, so I tend to be a long-winded writer as well, right? I don't know about 10,000 words, okay, but like if they want 1,000, it would be like 3.
Sure.
I can't.
Yeah. No,
I can't do this in 1,000 words.
I'm too competitive. I wanted to write those things so people would win, and we'd be on a Wednesday night with 13 games because that's how they used to roll on Wednesday nights.
Right.
And I'd be like, well, how the hell am I going to skip? Like, why leave this half of the information out? What makes this half better than this half? Well, let's just freaking do it all. And Doc would just like deep sigh, like, oh, this guy. Dude, I don't know if 10,000 word columns are the way to go.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm going to put it out to Twitter. We're going to do a poll, Doc. Do you want the 10,000? Do you want the 1,000? And they'd all say yes to 10,000. And then, we get emails like, I print out your Bruski breakdown, and I take it to the bathroom and I read it for 30 minutes. I say, see, Doc, this guy from Iowa prints out this article and he reads it on the toilet for 30 minutes. It's gold, I tell you.
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. Hey, for those of you guys watching us live on Twitter, we really appreciate you. Not all of our episodes are going to be available here. Please subscribe to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed. Also, the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. Those are going to be 2 of the best decisions you have ever made. So let's get into players who just missed the Pop Players article. I want to start with Onyeka Okongwu. There could be a pop here, okay? And we might not need a Porzingis injury to get the pop. The first Atlanta box score of this preseason is going to be huge. Does Okongwu start over Zach Resache? Or is it Resache, Daniels, Young, Jalen Johnson, and Porzingis, Okongwu off the bench? At the time of the publication of the article, I do not know that, okay? So that's why he just missed. If we knew that Okongwu was going to be the starting center with Porzingis being the 4, it's super long 4, but he's got more 4 game than Okongwu does. Then Okongwu would have been in the article, but because of that uncertainty at this point, he's not. But I'm like cautiously optimistically high on Okongwu, pending that first box score.
I'm recklessly, irresponsibly high on Atlanta, like really. And so I'm going to try to release as soon as possible all the win totals for Ethos Wagering, because I kind of got into it. I'm always into it, but I kind of got really into it this last this last month here, preparing for the team preview series that I'm putting out on X. And you guys are just I'll give one away. It's Atlanta. They're kind of scary. And what's really interesting is what Porzingis might do for Atlanta might represent or might resemble, what he did for Boston. Like with Boston was good, and Porzingis came in and they became a nuclear freaking weapon where all of it was just unstoppable. And it was like, God, and Porzingis, and you drop them into the ether, and then they get to that next level. So all these players that you just mentioned, and they're perfectly situated around Trae Young, and Trae Young's even talking about that. And they've got contract stuff that's kind of lingering there. It'll be interesting to see that play out. But there sits, to bring it full circle, Onyeka Okongwu, who is he got unleashed last year. And, some of the numbers probably weren't like, wow you to death numbers, but they were when he was let loose, but like on the season, that is, they weren't just like massively jumping off the page. But this is a guy that had an almost 30-point game. I think he might've gone over once, but they relied on him offensively. So I don't think they put that toothpaste back in the tube. I think that they just take this new version of Okongwu that they've sort of ushered through the last few years, and he shifts more toward an offensive role, but he's going to have a big part of that defensive role as well. So you're going to get that kind of core Okongwu stat set that's never been great, but it's been serviceable. And then there's been these brief flashes of him going off. I think you're going to get more flashes, less of the base stat set that's kind of a little bit more boring. And he's going to be on the floor every night. And then you have the upside of Porzingis getting hurt and him stepping into a more prominent role for, say, a third of the season. And yeah, it's good. It's good. I don't know if it's going to be available. I think people might know this, but yeah, no, it's good. I think where you put him, you got your 19 guys and he's knocking on the door is probably perfect, because these 19 are a pristine 19. Number 20 is a good spot to be.
Yeah, these are the Cam vetted guys. This is an offseason of vetting and ranking and soul searching and evaluation and all the history that they have. It all is the secret sauce of this. Jaden Ivey is another guy. Brew, I like him. I want to love him. But there could be a pop this year. Probably not, right? I mean, I think Osar is going to be better. I think Osar is going to take his game somewhere north of where it's been. He played 22 minutes a game last year, right? Tobias Harris is still there, as Doc would say, in the way. You have Cade Cunningham, you have Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert. So there's a bit of a numbers crunch. But his name still has a little glow to me, Brew. And it comes from the college basketball I watched. This dude at Purdue is an absolute megastar. And I'm still kind of waiting. Top 5 pick in the NBA draft. He's had glimpses of being good here in the NBA, coming off an injury. So he just missed the list. He's just kind of one of those guys. I'm like over here like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like that.
I'm just looking. I'm looking.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Show me something. Bring me in.
Because there's so many things that are like obvious downers, right? Cade Cunningham all day, is the offense. I don't know if they want to get away from that, even if Jaden Ivey could be of a help. It feels like it's all Cade every time down the floor in a very Jalen Brunson-like offense. And then, some of the parts about his, percentages and some of the consistency issues. And then you get the roster jam, as you mentioned. I hope they do this. I hope they just throw him out there and try to pump up his trade value. And if you draft him late or wherever you're going to draft him, that you get that first bump, and then he lands somewhere cool where they're obviously going to take him because he's been playing good and do something important with him and kind of cut him loose, because there have been times where he's been the best player on the floor in a lot of NBA games. You're just watching, you're like, Jaden Ivey controlled that game. Well, that's not the reality. That's not the perception of his value in fantasy land as a guy that controls games. But, injuries are bad. Injuries suck. We'll see how he bounces back. But there's been that potential just sitting in there. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Guy that I'm monitoring, Ben Mathurin, Brew, missed the Pop Players article. But so what I do, I create like a long list, right? And then you kind of whittle it down and you vet it. And I didn't have a predetermined number, right? Like I'm only going to have 18 guys. It could have been 25. It could have been 15. Those were the guys that I was ready to go to publication with. And again, you've got to feel great about these guys. And so this second tier, I don't feel great about these guys. I maybe feel good or lukewarm about these guys. Rick Carlisle has said, Brew, that Ben Mathurin is going to start. I feel like because Ben Mathurin was a baller at Arizona and kind of captivated us, right? Pac-12 player of the year, all that stuff. Big time player. Comes out, he's had some big time games. He's had some playoff eruptions. Like, he's a killer player. He is. He's also extremely inconsistent. He doesn't bring any defense to the table. He's not a three baller. Okay. And let's put the cherry on top. He's not a PRA guy. He's not going to be 18, 4, and 5, right? He might be like 17, 4, and 2. And so to me, he's a scorer. He's a slasher. He's a bucket getter. I like him. But in fantasy, and again, you don't have Halliburton. Miles Turner's in Milwaukee, okay? There should be an opportunity for a pop here. But and we may get it, okay? But I just have pause for all of these reasons. Also, Brew, You've got Ben Shepherd, you've got TJ McConnell, you've got Jarris Walker, you've got Aaron Nesmith, you've got Andrew Nebhard. They still have a crew. They do. They still have a deep team, even without Hallie. So I could see a pop, but I don't. But I'm not like totally convinced there's going to be a pop. That's why he just missed the list.
Look, if you're in a points league, if you're okay with all of the things that Rick just said about deficiencies and whatnot, I can tell you this. I think he's ready to have a big season. I think Indy is ready to, they've kind of already said it, in various places that, we didn't like this, and this, and he's shown us enough X, Y, Z for us to give him a chance next year, provided he does the things we've already told him he has to do, which is namely get your ass out and run and do the Ben Shepherd stuff. Which it's pretty straightforward. The ball gets into somebody's hands, or maybe even before it gets into somebody's hands, and you were turning and you're sprinting in the corner with no expectation you're getting the ball at all. And that's something he hasn't wanted to do, and so he understands at this point that if he wants 32 minutes per game and he wants to be able to score, because once they actually get into the front court, they're going to have lots of need for him to be good, getting the ball up top, breaking down the defense, and getting buckets out of something other than the random offense, especially late in the shot clock. So I think he's got great scoring numbers. It's just everything else is a downer, but sometimes he'll slip because of that, and maybe Benny Mack's actually a little bit of a value this season.
Could be. It'll be interesting to watch. I don't know. That's going to be fascinating to see because he is a buzzy type of guy, but maybe there is value. I feel like people kind of put more value with his name, and like it sort of supersedes like, that's his box score. Really, that's it. That's all you get from Ben Matherin. But I think his name is bigger than his game. Maybe. So let's stick with Indiana here. Obi Toppin. And I forgot about him when I was running down all the options that, and obviously at center, you've got the 3-pack of Jackson, 4-pack, Jackson, Huff, Wiseman, and Bradley. Not trying to ballyhoo these guys, just saying they got a lot of dudes. But so that's what kept me from putting Obi Toppin in the pop player article. He's a deep sleeper of mine. In like 16, 20 team leagues, Obi Toppin's going to be a factor. 12-team leagues, maybe not, because you've got all those centers. I don't know how many center minutes Obi Toppin is going to get, Bruce. So I could see a lift in stats. Am I ready to call it a pop? No, I'm not.
He's such an interesting player. He like ballyhoos himself with his defense. Excellent word there, Rick. But yeah, like it's crazy. He will go in and take over a game. And he also, because it's like he knows he's playing 16, 18, 19 minutes. He's been told, when you're in there, shoot, just put it up. So what would that translate in like a 24 to 27 minute role? Does he have the same green light to shoot every single thing on site that he can get to? If so, great. That's a great fantasy situation. And there are times when he's just physically dominant. There's not a lot of players that are built like him, but then on the flip side, he just does something completely moronic defensively. He's top heavy, so people can get around him. It's hard to build around that as far as the defense goes. Maybe, and I don't think this is going to happen, but I'll just play kind of devil's advocate. Maybe he's closer to the Jay Huffs and the Isaiah Jacksons post-injury of the world, to where it's like, hey, we'll take it. We'll deal with some of that because there's not as much separation between those guys. I don't think that's the case, but I'll just play devil's advocate because in 19 minutes, he can actually have some fantasy value. So heaven forbid he gets 25.
And that is exactly why he's not on the pop players article. I don't exactly know Rick Carlisle's plan for him. There is a theoretical pathway to more playing time for Obi Toppin. And if we could get Obi Toppin to half the game, I think we've got a pretty nice player on our hands. DeAndre Ayton, Brew. I see a mini pop off of last year, right? With the Lakers. Now, we talked about motivation with Anthony Davis. Motivation's been a huge, gigantic problem for DeAndre Ayton. He had motivation issues in Phoenix when they were in the championship fast lane. okay, let alone Portland, where he completely went to sleep. I mean, that dude hit the snooze button for 2 years up in Portland, okay? So now he's reborn, humbled, hopefully, coming off the max, and now he's on a low-dough deal, right? Trying to rehab his contractual situation, and he's in a perfect spot to do that. So, Brew, I do see like a lift up of 1 or 2 points per game, like maybe 1 rebound per game, right? It's not enough of a pop. Like, again, I'm not just throwing that word around, okay? It's got to be a significant pop. I think there's going to be a mini pop from DeAndre Ayton. And it's kind of funny, Brew. I have gone from the last 2 years, he was deader than dead to me. Okay. Like, would not touch him with a 10-foot pole. Now, I will draft DeAndre Ayton. Like, I'm not crazy about it, but round 7, something like that, round 8, I will take him in a lot of drafts. I'll probably have a lot of shares of Ayton this year.
I wish that Netflix would put him in one of their shows. I just want to get the behind the scenes with DeAndre Ayton. Like, how hilarious
Does he just sit around and play video games?
I don't know. It could be anything. It's like a big question mark on a box. Just, I want what's in the box. Give me the box. And like, so anyway, I know we got a LeBron prop later, and I kind of want to save my LeBron takes for that. But your DeAndre Ayton, at one point in time, Chris Paul would get a switch and just dump it into Ayton at about 10 feet. And he was automatic. Like, and you looked at that,
right?
You looked at that, and you're like, this. I remember there was a time where there was Jokic and Embiid at his peak when he was playing like a full 43 games a year, and kidding. And then you had Ayton right behind him. It was like, because he was versatile and he was so damn consistent, even in those playoff series. Like, he was good like that. And then this precipitous drop of nothingness and empty big man numbers, low blocks, and it just kind of slowly whittled down to nothing. Now he's got Luka, and LeBron to give him those little easy passes that he was capitalizing upon so well all that time. And they're going to stick a foot in his ass. And, that it all lines up for what you're saying. This is not a dead to me DeAndre Ayton season. And that's a win. That's a win. And Netflix, go get on it.
So a pop from Ayton would be like up to 18 and 12. I don't see a pop like that. I see like going from, if it was 14 and 10 in Portland, like 15 and 11. Okay. That's why he's not in the pop players article, because it's not a significant pop. It's a mini pop. Zach Edey. Brew, I want to take Zach Edey. I want to love Zach Edey. He had the offseason surgery. We just got a report on him. It's actually pretty positive. He's starting the ramp up now. The ramp up's going to take a while, right? He's going to miss a month or something. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think we are going to get goodies from Zach Edey. We're just going to have to wait. Okay. So he's an end of draft stash for me. And then what I like to do, Brew, is give myself a little waiver wire optionality. So you take him with your last pick, draft over, drop him down to IR. Time to go shopping on waivers and fill that spot, right? And then I just wait on Zach Edey. And you know how we do. We just stream guys, and there's always pickups. The waiver wire is fertile from 1 to 82 in the NBA. It always has been, okay? And so I'm not worried about that, right? I'll find a guy. But that's why he's not in the pop player article, is because of this injury. Does it lead to a re-injury? Do they treat him with kid gloves when he comes back, right? So all those questions kind of keep me from just going in on Zach Edey. But I want to be that way on Zach Edey. I got to check up a little bit.
I know it's more fair to have a fab run after the draft is done. It's more fair, but I really love the Black Friday, running through the Walmart front door that is the first come, first serve after a draft, when you take the IR guy, stick him down there, and everybody's just racing to see who they can get as their next draft pick. But Edey, I'm curious. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, they got this new offense that's not new. It's 2 years in Memphis. Thomas Isolo, I think I'm getting that name right. I'm working on it. I'm listening to the enunciation guides. I'm doing my practice. But they're running this really cool, and a lot of teams are going to be coming out with this stuff as well, kind of following in the footsteps of Indiana. And even just, I think the general trend is like, how the hell can we score more faster? How can we do it in a way that's not game plannable which, by the way, I wonder if Dyson Daniels is the guy that's figured that out on defense and that nobody else has yet. But with Edie, he's so slow, right? I mean, he's actually not that slow for a man his size. I'll give him that. But like this up and down motion offense that's got so many moving parts, like what does that look like when Edie comes in? I bet they have a package for Edie that's totally different than what they normally run. And I would love that as a coach. I think you would love that change up, as long as everybody on the team was aware of it and everybody was good with it. You know, it's like, hey, when he's not out there, we run in circles. We run in circles, which is what they do out there. And they have little stations around the perimeter, and they're playing 5-out ball. And then Edie comes in. It's like, nope, we got a big guy in the dunker spot, and we run this and this and this and this, and it's completely maybe game plannable, I would say, but I don't know if teams are looking at that. You know, so anyway, I think Edie might have a lane within this odd fit. So I wouldn't fade Edie entirely this season, especially if he got that IR slot.
If he were not injured, he would be in the pop players article. I can tell you that right now. I'm going to lump these two guys together, Brew. Jaylen Brown and Derek White did not make the pop players article, and but they're going to pop. And I believe that both of them are going to have a significant pop. Okay, so why aren't they in the article? This is defying common sense. I said I need a significant pop. They're in the article. I don't think they're going to finish the season, Brew. I fear a shutdown. This is probably my biggest bet of the entire offseason, okay? Because we're predicting the future. A lot goes into that, but and you know, we have these gigs because we're right more than we're wrong, but we're not perfect. Okay. So am I going to miscalculate Boston? And are White and Brown going to play in March and April for a mediocre team that should be tanking? Bill Belichick already proved this to them the year after Brady with Cam Newton. Should have tanked, got a high draft pick. He didn't. They were a middling team, and they've sucked ever since. Okay. He completely ruined the team with that decision. And so to me, Brew, Boston would be morons not to tank. Morons. They have their pick. You're not winning anything without Jason Tatum. You're not. Neemias Queta and Chris Boucher are projected as starters. You're not winning anything with that. You're not going to be a top 6 team in the East. You're going to be a play-in tournament team. Just play Peyton Pritchard. Just put Pritchard out there with a bunch of G Leaguers and win 18 games and be high in the draft. So that's my big bet, dude. That's why Brown and White are not in the pop players article.
I wonder how much Cooper Flagg is going to change the way GMs operate with this play-in / tank stuff. I mean, the odds are not good. The odds are not good to get a top 5 pick if you're a top 5 tanking team. So, I mean, Missoula will probably take
orders. Are you intimating that the NBA is rewarding those that don't tank and punishing those that
no. I wouldn't do that. Tank? No. There's no. I think it was an act of some sort of, I don't know what Cooper Flagg landing in Dallas was. It's fishy. It's not just the 1% or whatever the odds
real
were.
Fishy. It's really
look. I'll put the tinfoil on with the best of them. I'll be.
It's frozen envelope fishy.
Better call Saul's brother bathing in foil. I'll do it with the best of them. But I mean, it's not just the 1% odds. It's that like he's the only way that Dallas could have been even remotely somewhat interesting. Like say Kyrie, and of course Kyrie comes back. He can connect this entire puzzle together. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that gets me. It's not the 1%. It's that. But like, if you're looking at this and you're another team and you're saying, well, you know, I could completely shut it down. And I could, you know, I think if you're a first place team, you can get in the 5th slot. That's rough. That's really rough. That's rough. It's tanking. I'm not a fan of tanking in general as a strategy for franchises, but, that's really rough. So if you're Boston and you just can't get out of the 7 seed, you know, you're just stuck there. What do you do? Do you say, oh, we'll just, you know, kick the can down the road and lose some games? But I think that the tipping point for this will just be, can Jaylen Brown stay healthy? if Jaylen Brown goes down, it gets ugly fast for Boston. And it's like one of those. If Derek White goes down, that's it. Kata, if Kata goes down, it's done quick. So the problem might solve itself by one of those things happening.
Interesting.
And then in your case, you got it. You got it right there. Because at that point, they won't be able to keep up. They will be at the bottom.
Right. And that's kind of baked into my thought too, Brew, is like, I don't think Boston's going to start the season in tank mode. I don't. I think they should, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to try to win with what they have. And so the results will dictate the first, until about Christmas, that's going to dictate how the rest of the season goes. And you're right. Like if they're 5 games under 500, that could lead to a tank. And if you add that to, oh man, Jaylen Brown just sprained his knee last night, then the tank is on.
Yeah, with the big money they paid him, I would get everybody in a room and say, look, man, you've got mileage issues. And I don't know how much we still owe you. It's like 200 mil or whatever the number is. Like, let's treat this as a gap season. And, hey, Derek White, you've actually got injury history too. Let's not, run you into the ground. Let's play the G League, Boston Celtics. And yeah, sure, maybe you don't get the top overall pick because the odds didn't work out. But hey, the 5th pick's not bad. I get that. That's what I would do if I was running the Celtics.
But think about this, Brew. You're absolutely right. What if you get the 10th pick? Okay, that's a great pick for Boston. I mean, sure. You're an elite team. They won 61 games last year, the championship the year before. If you can just drop in the 10th, so you're dropping in Kamla and Aaron, right? He was the pick in this draft. Yeah. Okay, that'd be a great look for Boston to get a guy like that.
And I don't like tanking for teams that have bad franchises with bad ownership and bad GMs and bad everything. I like the San Antonio Spurs, when they got Tim Duncan, like that's very smart.
It was Boston, a 1-year tank because David Robinson got hurt, and they said
it set them up
what
for
you do,
like 2 decades practically. That one decision.
5 championships. That decision led them to 5
and all the organizational good juju they had as a result of that one choice. And it feels like just people get kind of into their, emotions. Like we got to win, we got to this, and we got to that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't.
Sometimes like Golden State.
Winning is losing.
Brew, your Warriors, the year that Klay Thompson was out, Durant leaves, Steph Curry lands on his hand in like the first week, misses the rest of the season, and they pulled the plug, dude. It was the G League Warriors. You get James Wiseman. I mean, so that didn't work out, but the point is you got the 3rd pick in the draft, okay? And that was in the middle of the dynasty. They still had another championship to win.
So royally. That was such a smart thought process to lead to such a dumb place.
Exactly. But it was a 1-year tank. That's what Boston should do. That's why Brown and White are not in the Pop Players article. And Anthony Edwards. Lastly here, Brew. So I love what we're hearing about. He's studying Kobe and Michael and footwork and post game, low post, mid, pinch post, elbow post, like all that stuff. Yes. Turnaround fadeaways in the mid range. Yes. We need more of this. Okay. That's how you're going to win a championship, young fella. Okay. And it's going to lead to better efficiency. The 3-ball number probably comes down a little bit off of 4 per game, Brew. But he was at, I think it was 28.7. It wasn't 28.7. Let me pull up Ant-Man here. The point I'm trying to make is I don't see a significant pop. I don't. Because the team is static. It's the same team they had last year. I know NAW's not there, but he's a bench player. I'm not really that worried about that. Edwards last year, he went from 25.9 to 27.6. Brew, he was in last year's Pop Player article. He was a pop star, right? And he popped, okay? Nailed that one. But is he going up off of 27.6? I don't think so. If he does, we're talking 28.1, right? That's not a significant pop. He's at 5.7 rebounds last year. I don't really see him going up on that. 4.5 assists. He could get up to 5. That's not a significant pop. He's always about 1.2 to 1.6 steals. Okay. I don't really see a pop there. I see him coming down in the 3-ball number. I see his efficiency going up. Not that I care. So I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Brew, he is my number 5 guy. After the big 4, Anthony Edwards is that next pick. for me. Like
I was,
over.
yeah, no. I mean, I was happy to see the reports of working on the things that you're describing. It felt like he's kind of like able to pick a thing and work on that. I wish he had picked a couple different things. I wish he had picked really working on his handle. Maybe he did. We don't even know. He could have. I think for him, some moves that I think like De'Aaron Fox has been able to really get good at over the last 4 or 5 years of pushing the ball ahead, inside out dribbles, things that really lean into the speed and the high end capabilities of players like that. That if you add that to Anthony Edwards, holy crap, I think you get Michael Jordan-esque stuff going on where it's, hey, pick your poison. I'll rise and fire, or I'll go right back by you and yam on you. You just pick. And then once you have that, everything changes. Very few players in the game have had that. Kobe Bryant had that. It's so potent and so powerful. And so I hope that he develops that, or he needs to get better with his arm extended finishing in the lane. He has like 2 or 3 pet moves that he goes to when he's down in there absorbing contact. And if he could just get, like, imagine him with the touch of like a Steph Curry, which of course is never going to happen. That is another unstoppable kind of a thing where now the drive becomes so scary for teams that they're giving him the three. He just practiced taking a lot of threes this last season. So he's like 1 or 2 steps away from that really peak experience. And I can't wait to see that. You had him last year. We had him. A lot of people had Anthony Davis at 5 last year, and they were having a freaking party in the first third of the season. And, Anthony Edwards was my 5. And I kind of think that's where he goes this year. He just slowly did it for fantasy owners last year and eventually got it done. And I don't think people really figured that out. I don't know if they actually remember that happened, but he is good. I understand what you're saying, though. It's the same team. It's how much can all of that, what he just did this summer, how much can all of that work out? And then you have the fact that a lot of guys got older in Minnesota last year. So what does that do to the team as a whole? Does it make it harder on Anthony Edwards? Does that get kind of baked into the numbers and you just don't see the pop that you're talking about? So I'm with you. I get it.
Love him. I just don't see a significant pop from Ant-Man. I think he is who he is, which is an absolute rock star. Now, Brew, I came up with in the vetting process, a very long list of guys who popped last year. So, and I'll just give you a little hint. There were 2 guys in last year's pop player article. They both hit. They both popped. I missed one, by the way, last year, Brew. Zion Williamson. The entire article, I missed one guy. That's what I'm saying here. They're vetted. I love these guys. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, if I feel like you're gonna let me down, you're not in the article. Okay. Like it's full faith and trust in these guys. But these are the guys that popped last year. And, to varying degrees, like them, don't like them this year. But there are 2 guys, like I said, that were in last year's pop players article that are in this year's pop players article because I see another significant pop from them. That's right. Back-to-back pops, which is a rare deal. But a guy like Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, I don't really see a whole lot of statistical pop upside from him. He gave us basically 20, 10, and 5 last year with 1, 1, and 1 in the block, steals, and threes. Phenomenal stat line. They've added, and I think he's going to be terrific, but I just don't see him popping off that. I don't see Dyson Daniels popping off of what he did last year. I don't see Cade Cunningham popping off of what he did last year. I think these guys are now established. They kind of are who they are. Austin Reeves, he had a big pop last year, and I don't see a pop this year. I think he's going to be right around 25 and 5 with his steal and 3 goodies. Okay. So I'll stop there and let you react to that small little list right there of guys who popped last year.
That's the name of the game with this thing, is trying to figure out who's got next levels. And in each of those situations that you just broke down, those guys have significant impediments to taking another step forward. I would probably maybe, argue around the edges with a couple of those, but like by and large, we're talking like Cade Cunningham. It's like he's earned his place inside of the first round. He has and really like part of drafting in the back end of the first round is like, who's not going to screw me here? What am I going to be able to do that has some element of upside attached to it, where I feel reasonably good about it because it's a mixture of risky players with upside. And then even Cade's a risky player with upside in the sense that he's 1 year removed from a significant injury history. Hopefully enough repetitions of games and seeing Cade Cunningham dominate for an entire season last year will erase that from our memories in maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and we'll never talk about it again. But the next levels are just not there. And it's hard to draft those guys because you're getting them at value, not extra value. So you're taking on that number with whatever associated risk, and to what end? And sometimes that's a fine move. I mean, hey, sometimes you can't win them all. Sometimes the best move is an even value guy. But it's an interesting thing there. So yeah, the fact that they're not in makes total sense to me.
Yeah, it's such a good point, Brew. We're looking to beat ADP here. You're looking for value. Drafting at value, drafting at ADP, it can be a good strategy. But you need to go +1, 2, or 3 rounds off of ADP as much as you can. That's always the goal. So Austin Reeves in round 4, right? Austin Reeves is a 4th round pick right now. I'm not crazy about taking Austin Reeves in round 4. I might. There's probably sexier guys. Pause. There's probably, and then I was just going to say more attractive guys. There's probably dudes with more sizzle around him, more upside. So anyway, like Reeves in the 4th round, like last year we were getting him. I don't even remember, Brew, round 6, round 7. I don't know, something like that, right? And then he pops for us. Because he was coming off like a 14.7 PPG, went all the way up to 21 last year. But yeah, drafting Reeves in the 4th round, I just don't feel great about that. Let's see here. Let me see another guy or two. I got a bunch of
Austin Reeves. That was a great season he had last year.
Mm-hmm.
That it was a big B150 win. I love the player, one of the best ball handlers in the league. And Andre says we should probably move to betting.
Betting.
It's all about betting, man. It's all about betting.
I know.
About betting.
So
we
guys,
love FanDuel. We love FanDuel. You know what? And I miss Steve. I just want to say that. I miss Steve. Saying the word FanDuel made me miss Steve. Because he just might pop in and do a read.
I know. He loves brought to you by FanDuel. He puts a little Georgia twang on it too. Brought to you by FanDuel.
Oh, he's Mr. Georgia Twang.
He's Mr. Georgia Twang. So just want to tell you guys lastly here, sportsethos.com. My pop player articles went live yesterday. We've been talking obviously a lot on this show about it. Go get a subscription, please. Thank you. And read the article, okay? Because we, so you can find out who these guys are. Obviously, the B150 is up. It is live. It is amazing. It is a living, breathing document. The Brew is going to update here throughout the preseason, depending on development. So that is there. Doc's My Guys article goes live next week. We'll be telling you about it on next week's shows. Okay, it is time for our FanDuel Futures portion of the Fantasy NBA Today, brought to you by FanDuel. LeBron James to score 10-plus points in all games this year. He's currently on a double-digit streak of 1,292 games, which I'm pretty sure is the NBA record. I seem to recall Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a really lengthy streak like this back in his heyday. I could be wrong about it. I mean, it's the 80s. Come on, lots of parties, lots of concerts.
George Karl benched him.
Yeah.
In the first quarter.
What the hell was that about, man? 1,292 games for Bron at 10-plus points. So will he be 10-plus in every game this year? Yes is -158. No is +124. Which side of this one are you on?
LeBron's a legacy guy. So I don't like the money, but I'm going to probably take the 150 and light bet. This is not great math. I mean, this is one of those classic prop plays that is not a winner. There's the gap in the money is just terrible. And anyway, yeah, legacy guy. And what I was saving for this segment is I really think LeBron is going to cruise this season, and I'm probably going to do an update to the B150 just to reflect some of what I think his deployment will be. I mean, he's talking about this season super lightly like almost as if he's looking ahead and beyond this season. And some of the coasting factor that I was wondering about heading into the season, I think that's actually going to come in here. And I think he's really looking forward to life as a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. I think he might try to preserve his body that way. And that might work against this bet. If he really does station himself outside at the 3-point line and, doesn't take on usage and he just doesn't get into the paint so much, there's a game where he could go 2 for 10, not get to the foul line, not get there. I think he's conscious of this stat though. So, and for him, I think his case for his legacy that you're going to probably see him make so he can climb the greats and be on Mount Rushmore, depending on, who's the one doing the etching. I think his argument is longevity. And this is one of those things that plays into longevity. And so if it goes down, I think he'll be pretty pissed.
Great takes, man. Michael Jordan had the previous record, 866 in a row, 10 plus points from Brian Windhorst. So that's obviously obliterated by LeBron James. Brew, all of what you're saying may be true and it may come to fruition. What I know about LeBron James, covering his entire career, and you know this as well, every single season, not early in his career, like the first Cleveland vintage, once he started to get maybe to like Miami, okay, or maybe it was back to Cleveland, but it was like maybe he's about 33, 34, so that's a little while ago, okay? Every year there's talk about reducing load, reducing minutes, reducing games, changing role, and it never, ever happens. It's always the exact same LeBron James. And so JJ Redick has talked about him playing off the ball more, right? It is at the media day press conference, right? Because it's Luka's team now and all that. But JJ talked about LeBron being off the ball more, and we're working on that and stuff like that. For me, and this is an NFL thing as well, what they say at OTAs, what they say, like a lot of times it's just blah, 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 and it never comes to fruition in the regular season. We want to get this third string running back. We want to get him the ball more this year. Through 4 weeks, he's got 1 carry, right? It happens all the time. So for me, I need to see that to believe that. This is LeBron's entering what, year 23? I think it's year 23, right? Year 22 or year 23. Every single year of his career, he's been the exact same guy. So, and the 3 ball's obviously gone up here late in his career. I get that. But we're still getting 25, 8, and 8. You know what I mean? We're still getting this bombastic PRA. He's still, like, arguably the best player on the court every single game. And I just don't think that's going to change.
Exchanging 3-point shots for, more of a well-rounded offense. It's always, can he make them? Now, LeBron can make them. He's one of the better 3-point shooters in the league. So maybe the value switch isn't much. Maybe the value switch, impacts other players more positively or negatively than it's going to impact LeBron. And I absolutely, like, the amount of crap that comes out in summer league and comes out in August and September, and just the stuff you hear at media days, like, you got to just like practically just not listen to it. There's 90% of it is garbage, 10% is the diamond. And, it's always this stuff that like nobody cares about. You're like, oh my God, that's really freaking big. Like,
right.
Nobody
cares. Like Kevin
about
Porter Jr. starting. When Doc Rivers says that's a big deal, right? What was the other one? Oh God, I'm blanking. Like Rick Carlisle saying Ben Matherin's going to start.
Right.
Like that stuff has weight to it. Like that's, you take that to the bank. But when a coach says, we hope to have him for the start of the season, that means you're not going to have him for the start of the season. Hope is the most empty word in sports.
We want to run. We want to shoot threes. Everybody's going to defend. Everybody's stronger, lighter, better, clear their mind.
Except Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis is like, no, man, I got my donuts. I don't care. I'm going to do my prank show. I'm going to prank you to death.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. So he's gone Hollywood too. Now he's got a TV show. He's got a side interest. Oh my God.
You've been zapped.
For the love of God, do not draft Anthony Davis, please. Last thing here, and I'm going to sign us off. Are you kind of fading LeBron James this year? Are you kind of low key fading him this year?
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, it feels like I kind of faded him last year, and then he popped up on teams.
If LeBron is mid-second round, are you drafting him?
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow. If he falls early third round,
possibly.
Okay, so this is a fade. This isn't a low key fade. This is a fade.
But you know what? I thought I was fading him last year, and then it was like he kept landing on a couple teams, and it was actually good. It felt it was like, yay, good job, us. Like we did it, LeBron. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit concerning that he does not. I don't think Los Angeles and him have any interest in each other going forward.
I don't disagree.
And
I don't disagree.
A really bad spot for, consistency of fantasy value.
He's also got the glute thing, the nerve irritation in his butt. So anyway, I'm proceeding as planned. I'm staying the course. If we see some stuff in development.
Didn't know we had a second doctor on staff. A nerve thing in his butt.
He's got a nerve thing in his butt. That's what's going on with LeBron right now, limiting him at the start of training camp. Brew, anything you would like to tout, promote? Any final words here before we sign off?
Touts, I do want to get for our Ethos 360 subscribers the win totals out ASAP. Like basically, I've got a bunch of things I got to do for the B150 here today. That'll be the next thing on my list. Is the win totals. So get on in and check that out. The All Sport Pass gets the B150 next Wednesday, I believe is what it is. October 7, I think. Gosh, I hope I got that number right. And Tuesday, I'm told. October 7. I got one of the two things right. Draft guide, read it. You'll know it's better than anything that's out there times 10. And really, actually with the Bruski 150, the entire beginning of this thing is free. You could just read about all sorts of different things that we're doing here. You get an inside look at what our new tools at the revamped website look like. That's huge. I mean, whether you're a DFS player, a bettor, if you're a season-long player, a roto player, a head-to-head player, the fact that you've got Vegas grade projections, and I really think we do this better than Vegas to power all those different tools in the middle of the season. Like, yeah, the B150 is great. The pop players are great. Doc's my guys. That's going to get you through draft day, but you have to still play. You have to play this out. You can't just rely on that. And to have tools that are industry best with the best projections and the best people working on these tools, it's just great. So if you want to have that kind of stuff going on in this industry, read my article about it, but also consider supporting companies that are trying to operate seriously in this space with this kind of stuff, because the more we do this, the more we get nice things. And we want to keep making nice things for you. And we will keep making nice things for you, provided we have enough subscribers and all of that to do it, which we will. So I'm thrilled to report that it's just really nice around here. So check out sportsethos.com, consider a membership, and win your leagues.
Great stuff right there, Brew. I did not give you an answer, by the way. I would play the yes on LeBron James minus 158. I do agree with you. That math is, I don't like that math at all. But I don't think he's going to have a sub 10-point game. So that's the way I would rock right there. And like you, Brew, it would be very, very low dough. Very low dough. That would not even be a full unit on that one. Guys, we are done. We really, really appreciate you. Just one more reminder, two more reminders. Go get our app. It's completely free and it's awesome. The Sports Ethos app. It's going to let you know everything going on with every single player in the NBA, newsworthy stuff, anyway, download the Sports Ethos app. It's completely free. And just lastly here, please subscribe to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast feed and the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. And we really appreciate you guys and girls. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday. For Andre Lemouche, for the legendary Aaron Bruski, I'm Rick Kamla. This has been the Fantasy NBA Today, brought to you by FanDuel. See you soon.